What's up with the what's up, people? You already know what it is. It's your boy Angry Ted coming back at you with another little Facebook Live and also a stream on YouTube and all other social media platforms. Here to talk about sports and entertain you for the next 45 to an hour. Indulge in your ear in something different. And we're going to get right into it, man. I was listening to WIP and they was happening to be debating or actually bringing up the subject of Jalen Hurts. You know what I'm saying? And again, I know people getting kind of what they say Hurts fatigue, but it really is a shame, man. And I feel like just as much as he has his detractors, us as his defenders, need to be heard as well. And just as much as they, what I mean, they try to fatigue us with all the negativity about the kid. I just, think that that as his supporters we should be just that much loud, to let it be known, man. Like our eyes don't deceive us even though you got your insiders, you know, like your ESPs, Elliot Shore Parks, who I'm about to get right into right now. Um, you know what I'm saying, that really don't understand, you know what I mean, like the nuances of football, or they supposed to because they're getting paid the big bucks. But they really just go off of what I say, like they're not looking at what their eyes seeing. They're just basically just talking, just to be talking. And I mean, it's really a shame, man. It really is, because at the end of the day, I mean, you got Hurts, who's put up, not only numbers, but he's also won a Super Bowl for us, and the guy still gets no credit. And it's like how much longer, what I'm saying, or how much more does this man have to do, um, to win over the Philadelphia media? And it's really a shame. In particular, this guy, with his statements, which I'm about to pull up right now, which I thought was asinine, and I put a preview of it up, on my page earlier, kind of like a preview to the show. But I want you guys to hear it in its entirety. And it's crazy because, here it is. You know what I'm saying? Like you got Hurts, who's like I said, who's been pretty much the the backbone of this team when you look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's insane. But again, I'm gonna go ahead and let you hear this and see what you guys think.
Justifiable to have him on a list, but number one, to me, the top of the list has to be way heavily towards the last year. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why do we have why was Saquon number one last year? Because of the year he had. His resume before that was good, but not great. But he had an otherworldly year. We're like, well, that's the best athlete in the city. That's similar to Christopher Sanchez.
Saquon Barkley won the Super Bowl and set an NFL record for rushing yards in the season, including the postseason.
Right.
Christopher Sanchez has been great. He has not accomplished anything close to what Saquon accomplished in 2024.
Well, no,
Philly cheesesteak or Texas barbecue?
justifiable to have him on a.
Again, I'm getting the grade. Pull it up here. Indulge me for a second, people. It's kind of taking a little bit, but I'm gonna get it up here. But yeah, this guy, man, it's utterly ridiculous for him to be a beat writer, for the Philadelphia Eagles, and to have the opinion that he has on Jalen Hurts. It's asinine, man. It really is. And it's sad because at this point it's like hate. I think it's just borderline hate. I think because he doesn't really what I say, give the media solace to, I mean, or access to him, like most of the athletes do in this city. Um, he basically, what I'm saying, like, is in his own world when it comes to things like that. And I'm basically, you know what I mean, like I said, it's tiresome, it's out of line. It's just it's just asinine. Like at this point, like the way these jokers, man, they continue um to bash the kid, like as if he's not a winner. I'm pulling it up right for you right now, guys. Just bear with me. Bear with me. Uh, Here we go.
The idea that the Eagles.
Here we go. That's the next one I'm going to play. This one is this guy
All
here.
right, so let's talk some more football. A little bit of everything, though, with our next guest. The most significant thing is pumping down Jalen Carter, who's eligible.
You had that takeaway as well. Discussed it all with the owners' meetings, the incorporation of the Olympics and
Article from Tim McManus, ESPN.com today about Jalen Hurts and to a certain extent the 2025 thing. Same question I asked you about the Lori press conference. Biggest thing that stood out to you. What was it?
Yeah, so first let me say, excellent article by Tim McManus. Like, excellent reporter,
See what I'm
unbelievable
saying?
job on the article.
Tim
Everyone should
McManus,
read it.
these
I
jokers
also think
report
that
all the
if you're
type of
surprised by
negativity
anything
they
in
can
there,
report.
You are either in denial or have been living under a rock. Like, how many times do people have to say the offense looks the way it looks because of Jalen Hurts, which is how it should be? Every quarterback has the offense built around them, right? Every quarterback has strengths and weaknesses. And so when he talks in that article, really well reported about the fourth down play against the Niners, yes, they ran that play because they thought it's what Jalen wanted to run. Jalen had involvement in picking that play. So, I think Jalen has obvious strengths. He has obvious weaknesses, and I think the article highlights that.
Elliot, how do you, let's say, juxtapose? Is that the word, John? Did I say it right? Juxtapose?
Wow.
All right, this article and what it means from an intent standpoint, that some people spoke to Tim on the record, even if it's anonymous, about some of the shortcomings of Jalen, knowing he's entering 2026, it really matters a ton. And what Lurie said about Jalen as it relates to Jalen's long-term future with the Eagles. On the same day, Lurie speaks in glowing terms. This article comes out not so glowing. How do you juxtapose those two realities?
Well, because I think Lurie views Jalen on a much more macro scale, and this article gets into a much more micro scale on some of the problems. Lurie views Jalen as represents the franchise well. They win games with him all the time. He's won him a Super Bowl. He's got him to another one. Like, Lurie's getting his money's worth out of Jalen at the end of the day. I think the article gets into some of the micro problems that people in the building deal with on a daily thing in terms of Jalen, right? Like building an offense around Jalen, doing new things on offense with Jalen. And I think a takeaway from this that might not get talked about a lot, but I think that it should be, is we have heard all offseason from the Eagles that Jalen can play under center, that they are going to do different things on offense. And the article makes it crystal clear. Jalen is not comfortable playing under center, and he does not want to do it. So all the people that are really excited about this new offense and all these new things they're going to do, like, we'll see, right? I believe they're going to try, and it says in the article that Jalen is more open to change than he's never been. So maybe he will come in next year and be completely open to change, just be completely different than he has been throughout his career, and be really good at under.
I'm done. And there you have it, people. And there you have it, right from the horse's mouth. Now, what I interpreted from that whole spiel that he did and that whole interview he gave to WIP was basically that you don't believe in the man's mental. You don't believe in the man's ability to grasp or understand concepts in offense, and he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You don't believe that the man can be taught or can learn new things under a new regime of offense, because you say he reverts back to his old ways. Well, last I checked, the man is a Super Bowl winner, was in the conversation for MVP, played well against Patrick Mahomes, beat him once, has an impeccable record in the playoffs, as far as win-loss ratio. has been in the playoffs every year under 7 different offensive coordinators, which means he has to adapt and overcome, which is change, right? See, this is the shit I'm talking about. It's just baseless talk. And then on the other hand, you say Jeffrey Lurie understands he's getting his money's worth. Well, if the owner's getting his money's worth, then all that micro shit doesn't mean a goddamn thing. If he's looking at him from a macro lens, then the micro lens don't mean a goddamn thing. It's just talk to be talking. And if you're going to talk, then talk the real. Then talk the real. But again, I say these media members, it's insane. It's really insane. It's really insane how they treat this man. And it's nothing new under the sun because Randall had to endure it too. But see, here's the difference. And it's no disrespect to Randall, but Randall didn't win. Randall did not win. And that's my favorite quarterback in Eagles of all the Eagles quarterbacks. That's my favorite. Possibly my favorite player in Eagles history. But Randall didn't win, besides Jerome Brown. Randall didn't win. For all the talent that we had defensively for him on that team, and then even the years where he had Chris Carter and Mike Quick as the receiving core, and then the year the Fog Bowl hit, which was a natural disaster, which I still think that was orchestrated by the Bears, and somehow they made that thing happen, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, and here it is, we have Jalen Hurts, who again, is not even reached his peak of what he can do. And if he gets any type of consistency, which I'm hoping and praying, and Mannion is that guy that's going to bring the consistency here offensively, as far as the offensive coordinator, then he's going to be special. He's going to be even more better than he was. And that's scary for the league. That's scary. But here's another one. Here's another one. And this guy right here, man. This dude. What can you say about this guy?
The idea that the Eagles should be scared that they're chasing Jalen Hurts out of town is ridiculous. The reason that people don't come out and support him internally is that internally is where all of this is coming from. It's because they don't believe in him as a player. It's that simple. The reason he doesn't have an extension is because they're not confident in how he has played. And the other reason he doesn't have players publicly stepping out there and supporting him, just on their own, is because he does not have enough meaningful relationships in the building. And while they may not dislike him, I don't think they look at Jalen and go, that's our leader. That's our leader. This is not an Eagles issue about pushing him out the door. It is a Jalen Hurts issue. It's about his play. The reason that he is doubted here is not because of some evil thing about Philadelphia, about the organizations or the fans. It's because we watch the games, and we have watched him for the last few years struggle to repeat what he did in 2022. And the other thing I thought reading this, I thought it's interesting he came after a mini camp where it didn't look like he played particularly well. Because I read this thinking to myself, he is setting up his own narrative here. For when it doesn't go well this season, it's not that the Eagles don't want him. It's that he may not want to be here anyway. And that some of the lack of success he has had is not because of him. It's because he wasn't supported. So I just read this and I think to myself, if he plays good, he ain't forced his way out because they're giving him a contract. And the reason that there are all these questions is because there's just questions about his play. And I guess I have some empathy for him in that it must suck reading all these articles and those sorts of things. But if I were him, I would ask myself, why? Why are all these things out there? And that's what.
Again, now this is, for lack of a better term, Spike-esque. And I say lack of a better term because this guy right here should know better. Your father was in the Eagles organization before he got booted out. You sound like what your father calls many of people when they used to call WIP and talk to him and say things like you just said. A dope. Straight up dope. A straight up dope. It is no way possible that we are worried about anything other than winning. Winning, winning, winning. And then you mentioned 22, which is the year he won the Super Bowl. And it's insane. It's insane. So you're basing your thought process on Jalen Hurts and him being the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback on him having one relationships. There's no way possible if he wouldn't have relationships in the locker room that this team comes out and plays for him like they do. You have relationships in the locker room with the offensive linemen who have nothing but good things to say about him when they come to the media. Brandon Graham, team leader. Devontae Smith, who's his number one receiver. None of this was prevalent, or none of this was in the air until Tender Dick decided he wanted out of Philadelphia because of the situation that's going on. And we all heard different rumors and whatever. But you hear enough stuff. Some of it may be true, some of it maybe not, but something happened. Something happened. But again, like I said, we didn't hear none of this till Tender Dick, started talking. We didn't hear none of this, and it's insane. So we're going to sit there and take first off an article from one of these hating ass writers, and then we're going to take an opinion of a guy who still thinks that Joel Embiid is one of the top 5 athletes in the city. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. There's no way that the Eagles wanna or should, nor should they, or the fan base wants to, or nor should we want to push Jalen Hurts out the door when we've yet to see what this kid can do. Now, if he again, I continue to say, if he has not missed the playoffs, but once, twice, excuse me, but once as a full-time starter, what more can you ask of a guy that gives you a shot every fucking year, no matter what's around him? It's called adjusting. Sometimes everything doesn't work during the regular season. We could put a great offensive plan together. But then when you got a guy that can adjust and do things that other quarterbacks can't do, like change the game with the flick of a wrist, with a beautiful throw, which he has those in his arsenal, or with a great run, which we all know about his legs. What are we talking about here, people? But again, this is why y'all got to come here. You get it real, you get it raw. You know what I mean? And if you disagree, you feel free to disagree. We don't hang up and we don't run. We don't run from no debates and we don't hang up. You know what I'm saying? We listen and we hear you out. Leave your comments in the comments section. Like, share, and subscribe. And look forward to these, like I said, to these sports rants. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and transition right into the Sixers because I did mention Embiid. Big draft coming up, 22nd pick. I want to hear y'all guys' opinion for those that follow the NBA draft. And I'm sure some still out there. I know basketball isn't what it used to be. But what can I say? I'm still a fan. What do you think the Sixers should do at the 22nd pick? I've been researching some of the guys. And from what I'm looking at, man, it's a lot of sleeper agents out there, as my man used to say, my man Big Al. Shout outs to Big Al, my whole military family. But real deal, man, it's a lot of sleeper agents out there. Me, for one, personally, I need someone that can come in here and shoot, preferably big, you know what I'm saying? And if they have both, that'd be good. If they have one or the other can be worked on. But he doesn't have to be an impact player for me right now because I'm looking forward to the future. I'm not looking at anything next season that, except for enjoying some exciting basketball, you know what I mean? But if they bringing back everybody, which they seem to be doing, then, I have no expectations. I'm going to root like hell and hope for the best. But as far as the draft goes, I'm looking forward to the future. I'm drafting a kid in here could possibly take Embiid's spot, especially with him being not available every night, which ironically enough, I got a theory on that, but I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that for down the line, especially after the draft and see who we pick. But I think that we need a big, preferably a 4 or 5 guy who can shoot or who has the ability to shoot and just needs the shot developed. I'm interested right now in the kid Sinick from Junior from Houston. If we can't get him, dare I say, and a lot of people down on him, but I like Cole Pete. I like Cole Pete. I like his physicality. He's everything we need because when you're competing in the Eastern Conference right now, you got the New York Knicks who ain't going nowhere. They got a bunch of scrappy players who develop and a bunch of dogs on their team. Dare I say, hate giving them credit, but it is what it is. Then you got Boston who ain't going nowhere. You still got the law firm until they make a big trade, which is something else coming down the line I'm gonna speak about. Um, and then you got, you know what I mean, like I said, you got those teams like Washington who's going to get better. You know, they got vets, and then they got the I believe the #1 pick in the draft, so they're going to definitely get a special player there. And then you know you got Brooklyn, who's also rebuilding, and those teams aren't going to stay down for long. They're not. And the good thing about us is we got 2 major pieces we can really build around, and then kind of like bridge the gap. You know, being as though we got to keep PG and MD, kind of bridge that gap. You know, we know it's don't put false expectations out there like these previous managers used to do. You know what I mean? Just keep it real with the fans and let us know. We already know. Like this is a transition year. And if it happens to lead to something special, so be it. But we already preparing that this transition year to next year when we get a little bit lighter on the cap, we be able to hopefully get good seasons out of PG and MD. And if they don't end up in championships, we can get them out of here and start this train moving with Maxey and Edgecombe. A lot of people don't like the name VJ Max. I love it. I love it. It hits. It's good. We need to get some T-shirts like if they ain't already made, get them out there. VJ Maxes. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I said, you know, get the train moving forward. And I think Sinet Jr. would be a great addition to the team. If you know, for those people that watch college basketball, I usually don't watch till March Madness because I like to see those dudes in tournament and pressurized situations. You know what I mean? Like, you know, during the season, you know, you play a lot of, you know, like I said, what they say, punked and Judy, old word for boxers, or what they say, ham and eggers, you know, during the regular season so you can stack some numbers. But during the playoffs and the tournament, that's when everybody playing. You know what I mean? You playing best of the best competition trying to win that title. And that's when you see the cream rising to the top. So I usually watch that. I like Senator Jr.'s game. I like how he presents himself. And he can play off MD because he can shoot a little bit. And then you got, and he can also spot start for you, like I said, when MD has his little situations. And then you got another kid that I like, and it's this guy, Dylan Swain. I like him too. He reminds me from Texas. And dare I say, he reminds me of a PG. I mean, a younger version. You know, smooth. You know what I mean? Got great leaping ability, athletic. You know what I mean? Jump shot again is there, but it's a work in progress. You know what I mean? I could deal with that as opposed to, you know, a guy that can't flat out shoot. You know what I mean? He's just, you know, those guys are the end of the bench guys. I mean, they had their spots on the team too because they do other things. But again, for what this team needs, Dylan Swain, Koa Pete, or my man Sinek Jr., I'll be happy to walk away with either of those three. And also something that's not being talked about, I think the Sixers should buy into the second round of this year's draft. Just to, you know, try to find some more depth. Some more depth at the center spot, some more depth at the wing. And possibly, you know, if not those two positions, someone, you know, to come in at the 4 spot. You know what I mean? We need depth. We definitely need depth. And then during free agency, what I'm doing, I'm going out and I'm finding me a backup point guard. Somebody that can back up Tyrese Maxey. I'm letting Grimes go. I'm seeing what Oubre wants, and if he wants something that we can't basically afford, then I want him going to let him go, and we can replace his minutes with finally getting Justin Edwards on the court. And I keep saying this. I don't understand it. We got these homegrown kids here who, like I said, first of all, they understand the culture. You know what I mean? They understand what it means to be playing basketball in Philadelphia. And he can shoot, and he can play. He just needs to be developed. The more time you give him, the more he develops. I think he would have been big in that Knicks series had Nick Nurse gave him more minutes, like he was in that Boston series when you put him in there. But again, that's on coaching. And hopefully with Gansey in here, he can kind of get in Nick Nurse, man, a little bit about developing some of these young players. Because you don't know what you have until you let them go out there and ball. And he'll prove whether he can't play or he can. And from what I've seen, I think Justin Edwards can be a real big addition, possibly 6 man coming off the bench. He has the size, he has the scoring ability, he can create his own shot, and he plays defense. And he plays defense, which that stood out to me the most. He plays defense on guys like Tatum. He can play guys like Brown and other big tall wing players like Bridges and guys like that, like Anunoby. These guys like that. And I'm not saying, he's gonna stop them or anything, but he can kind of make them work on the offense, playing defense too. You know what I mean? So that's my big thing. Nick Nurse, you have to give these young guys more time, especially Justin Edwards. Yeah, he's a Philly kid, and I'm definitely rooting for him extra for that reason alone. But most importantly, like I followed a little bit of his NCAA basketball career, and like I said, me coming out of high school, this dude was an All American. What I mean? He was giving people the business. So, and then college, of course, that's a little different transition. You know what I mean? Like, and I understood it because coming from Philly to going to Clantucky, that's what I call it. I'd spend time there in the service, but that's another story for another day. Did basic training in Fort Knox, Kentucky, Delta 146. Shout out to my old basic training mates. Hopefully y'all still living and still shining. But again, like I said, man, this kid, I think he could be a great addition and a big addition coming up this season, man. To where that's one less depth piece that you got to find out here, because we definitely got to find a bunch of guys coming off the bench better than what we have. And Adem Bona, this is your last shot. This is it. This is it. And I don't want to insult a black man, not in this time and not in this day, but you are looking like Dummy Burt #2. Dummy Burt #2. And until you can show us different, it's insane. It's insane. You make Samuel Dallenberg look like he's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's how bad you are. You are unplayable. You were unplayable this year. You were, uh, your hands were like hands of bricks. I don't understand it. But this is your last shot, my man. This is it. This is it. And hopefully we get a big man that comes in so that way you'll know that you either going to compete, you either going to get better, or you're going to get out of here. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I digress with the Sixers. I will tell you this, Tuesday night is a big deal with the franchise going forward. It could be the start of something big for us, or it could be the start of what we might consider back in the days of the tank years when we were trying to trust the process. And I hate to say it, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm processed out. I am processed out when it comes to the Sixers. I am processed out. They had 3 strikes and they're out. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and segue right into the Phillies. And they have a big series this weekend, which is probably the game is going on now. I haven't checked the scores, but I will in a second. Big series against the Mets. I mean, I know the Mets are stink, which I'm happy about. Any team from New York, any teams in New York that does bad, I'm all for it. I will root hard for them to lose forever, just like other cities and other teams fans root for us to lose. It's no different. It's the way it goes. It's where it should be. But again, I'm looking at right now what we got with the Phillies. This is a big month. Big month going into big end of the month going into July. We must push. We must get a streak going. You know what I mean? I know winning series is big, but we got to throw in a couple sweeps in here and there every now and again. And I'm not saying we're gonna catch the Braves. At this point I don't even want to catch the Braves because I think in the playoffs that layoff does something to teams. You could be going well and have a high streak, the hitters are hitting, and then that week off, you got to retrain your eye, and then you got to. I know they simulate games, but that's still not going hard. Not going 100 miles an hour like these athletes do. And baseball is one of the hardest sports because hand-eye coordination is everything. And pretty much if you're in a rhythm, you want to stay in that rhythm because getting out of that rhythm might take you maybe a month. And and baseball, playoff baseball, you don't got a month to get right. You got to get right now, or you be right on. You be right in Cancun. You get right now, or you get right in Cancun. Yep, that's how that shit go. So yeah, it's a big month, man. And we just sent Painter down. I don't think we need to go to these bullpen games. I'm going to advocate and keep saying it. Bring Gabe Wood up. Bring him up. Bring him up. I know it's AAA going to AA going to the majors. But at this point, man, fuck it. You got to take a chance. You got to take big risks to get big rewards. And unless the Phillies want to do the same thing they did last year, which will prompt the breakup of this core, this year will finally, if this don't get done this year and they miss the playoffs, definitely, yeah, this core, as we know it, will be gone. Will be gone. There will be a split. So with that being said, I just think the Phillies, man, if they can get on a run, then we can make some noise in the East and possibly get hot at the right time in the playoffs, and we could be the team finally that does what other teams do to us. Where we're the number one seed and we're coming in flying high, and these teams that come in hot, they just catch fire and they upset us and disappoint us. So hopefully we could play a little bit of that other side this year. Again, like I said, Phillies, they got a shot, man. They got a chance. I usually like to look at it like this, man, from my old sports mind. If the Phillies could do what they need to do, man, they could lead us right into football season, which we all know every Eagle fan and every fan of sports in this city that dies and bleeds green, lives and dies football and bleeds green, we know we can't wait till August. We can't wait till August. But again, hopefully the Phillies can do what they need to do. Not really much going on the Flyers front. Since the trade for the goaltender Wall and the defenseman name escapes me right now. Maybe one of you can help me in the comments, but not much going on. And their draft is coming up as well. So I believe their draft is right after the NBA draft. I believe it's that Friday. The NBA draft is Tuesday. I believe it's maybe maybe Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure, but when I get on here tomorrow, I'll let you guys know. I'll have that information for you. But I'd like to say thanks for tuning in. Those that did, thanks for stopping by briefly if you did. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully something you heard from me sports-wise caught your eye. Hopefully I'm your updates to your updates to your updates. Keep tuning in, keep checking in. We get better with time, just like the whistle said. Holla at your boy. It's Angry Ted. With that being said, love on somebody that loves on you. Peace and blessings. Holla.